episode of the Quarantine Kitchen. Today we're going to be doing some just basic sliders, something that we would have typically done in class, but we're going to do it actually on a grill outside since we have this at our disposal at the moment. But you could always do this on a grill pan, you could do this in a saute pan as well. Does it taste better on a grill? You can be the judge. We're using a gas grill today. I've already got this heated up. We're also going to do a side of just some roasted Brussels sprouts to go along with this. So that's actually the first thing that we're going to work on. Now follow along, but we have just, it's actually just a small bag. If I was to put this into cups, it's about 3 to 4 cups of Brussels sprouts. The ends have been trimmed off and they've been cut in half. Now to this, what we're going to do is add a little bit of olive oil, just enough to coat. We're talking roughly about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. All right. We're going to do a little bit of salt and pepper on that. You can open this up and get this on the grill now that it has a little bit of oil on it. Salt. Just a heavy pinch on top. This is something that's more to taste than anything else. We're going to do a little bit of crushed black pepper. Just a little bit of that on top. And then you can go on with just like a pinch of paprika or any really kind of spices that you're feeling. This is a relatively basic dish. And we're just going to give that a quick mix around. You do want to coat the Brussels sprouts nice and evenly with the oil. If not, it's just going to wilt. We do really want it to kind of crisp up. I have my grill cranking pretty hot. This is going to take the longest. So before we do anything else, we want to get these on the grill. And then we're going to prep our meat, we're going to get our buns ready, we're going to talk condiments, but this is going to go on first, really high heat, and let that go. Next what we're going to work on is the actual meat mix itself. Here I've got 1 pound of ground beef. We're talking about 80-20, you want a little bit of extra fat in this, that'll give you that nice juicy burger. Now, since we're doing this on here, I'm going to wear gloves. If I was doing this at home, prepping in the kitchen, probably wouldn't wear gloves during it. But for the sake of being clean and not having to wash my hands while I'm out here, we're going to do it this way. Alright, so we're going to add a couple things to this. We're going to have about a teaspoon of paprika, and we've got about half a teaspoon of cumin. That's going to go in there. And as we have these, we're going to get rid of them. Make a little bit of space here. We have 1 whole clove of just minced garlic, a little bit of black pepper, just like a heavy pinch is going to get the job done. A little salt. Okay, a lot of salt. To 1 pound of ground beef, you want to at least be adding about a teaspoon of salt. It's really going to extract the flavor of the meat out. And I'm just going to mix that all up. Now, some people will add a lot of other different things. You could add some chopped onion to this if you really wanted to. But remember, it's not a meatball. It's beef, or it's a burger. So we're gonna get this all incorporated really well. You want to make sure all the fat in the ground beef is evenly dispersed. All those spices are evenly dispersed. Now you're gonna make this, and what's really best to do is just let it rest. All right, let it rest cold. You can also pre-portion them if you want, but we're going to portion them, put them right on the grill. So just wrap this whole thing up in plastic, let it chill. Again, for about at least a half hour to an hour is something that could be done about a day ahead. When we come back, our Brussels sprouts will be roasting pretty far on the way. We'll form these, get these grilling, and then we'll talk different types of condiments that you can add. All right, so our Brussels sprouts have been going for quite a while. They're looking pretty good at this point. Take a quick look. So once they're starting to get a little tender is when you really want your burgers to go on there. Be gentle as you're moving them around. We're going for just nice crispness on the outside once these are done. I've got my back burner set on the highest right now. Make sure you got a pair of tongs lying around, that you're also going to have a turner around as well. This one's specifically for a grill. You want to use metal whenever you're working with a grill. Plastic's not really going to end so well. Do make sure that your grill has been primed. What I mean is it's clean, it's been scraped down. All right, make sure you're always using a scraper of some sort. All right, have a heavy duty thing on here as well if necessary. But then also prime it with a little bit of oil and heat up that oil before you put the burger or really any meat on. Otherwise, the likelihood of you sticking is relatively high. Now, these are going to cook pretty fast, and we're going to be doing sliders. So what that means is they have to be relatively small. We're going to be using King's Hawaiian buns, so tiny. You're not making a meatball, right? You can have a bunch of little patties. A pound of meat is definitely going to feed probably a family of 4, a couple sliders each. So what we're going to do is we're going to make first rounds. This is going to make sure that we're compacting everything really well and that the burger's not going to fall apart when we get it on the grill. Do make sure that your grill, you have to make sure these patties are going to be big enough to fit with the actual grill slats. So then press it down. All right, it's going to be thinner than you think. It's going to plump up quite a bit, all right, but you need it to be pretty thin there. It's a little bit less than a half of an inch thick. All right, and you're going to do that with all of your meat. And the nice thing is you can make all of these, you can freeze them individually, and they're ready to rock and roll. But I'm just going to do up a couple for the sake of this demonstration. And again, don't make them too big. All right, they'll shrink down a little bit, but you don't want your burger falling out of the bun itself. Of course, if you want to use this to make a full-size burger, you can do that as well. We're doing sliders. They're a little bit quicker to make, especially if you're kind of throwing dinner together last minute. So we've got 4. I think that's good to get going here. So these are going to go on the grill. So we're really high on the back heat. I'm going to go a lot lower on the front. I can always move things around. So that's going to go on there. And then the key to a good burger is right now we're just going to let these sit. We want to make sure we're keeping this down as well. If this gets too hot, I always like to have a hot pad around as well. So ideally with our burgers, we're going to give them about a minute, 2 minutes on one side. We're going to turn them to get those nice grill marks, and then we're going to flip them over and finish them off. Be careful about flare-ups, fire, things like that. We're pretty far away from the fire with this grill, but let's talk about some condiments. We have a lot of options. I'm just going to talk about a couple things that I like to do, but at the end of the day, it's your burger. You can kind of do whatever you want. I have just a quick guacamole, had some avocados. There's a little bit of lime juice in there, salt and pepper. Really simple. Make sure you're adding acid to it to prevent enzymatic browning, something that we've already talked about. Spreads. I've got ketchup. You could do mayo. You can do mustard. You can kind of do whatever you want. You want to use some type of Thousand Island dressing, make like a special sauce, completely up to you. Chipotle mayo, whatever. Pickles, sliced nice and thin. They're good. I made these ones. Tomato, right, heirloom tomato. Now I'm using arugula right out of my garden here, but you could use kind of any green you want. Beware of arugula, especially if you grow it yourself. It can be really peppery. This arugula is extremely peppery. So if you know it's going to be peppery, maybe cut back and don't even add pepper to the rest of the dish. We've got some cheddar cheese, and then we have some King's Hawaiian buns. While these are grilling, we need to make sure we prep these because these do not come sliced. So we need to slice these up. Got a serrated knife. All the way around. Break them up. I like to cut them all as one. It's a little bit easier to get them nice and even. All right, so our burgers are coming along. We're gonna give them a turn. These small ones don't like to just grab, so you might have to kind of get in there with your hands. But really key is just don't do a lot. All right, if you just let them sit, that's really what we want. Let's take a look at our Brussels sprouts. Give them a quick little turn. Getting some really nice color on there. Look at that color. Good stuff. That's what we're looking for, but we want that kind of all the way around. Almost dropped it. All right. With the buns, you don't want to toast these up too early. All right. There's sometimes a bun rack where you can kind of just toast them up. I like to put them straight on the grill, a couple seconds. You can do either side. Completely up to you, really, what you want to do. So let's pop these on. I like to kind of also line them up with the burgers so I know what's going where. and just a light toast. By toasting the bread, you prevent, if you ever bitten into a burger and the whole thing just gets way too wet really fast, you often get a fast food burger. By toasting it, you dry it out. So your ketchup or your spread or the juice from your tomato has to soak through and rehydrate the bun before it disintegrates the whole thing. So it's kind of a functional thing, but also taste of toasted bread's also nice. Once we flip these burgers, we're gonna go on with the cheese. So make sure you have all of that stuff ready. Now something we're gonna add to finish these Brussels sprouts is we have some grated Parmesan cheese, about 2 tablespoons, are what we're gonna put on top of there. Now when it comes to measurements on all of these toppings, really it's all to your personal taste. So to taste, for a slider size with the cheese, we're talking about probably half a slice per. I like to kind of just double it up like so. You can have those ready to rock and roll. 2, 3, and 4. Ready to go. So let's flip these burgers. Now, the health department wants me to tell you to cook a burger all the way to 155 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice toast on these. You can take them off. All right, 155 for 30 seconds. All right, that will be well done. All right, it's up to you. If you like it still mooing, usually with a slider, it's going to be cooked all the way through. If we talk about like what In-N-Out does, or if you get those super thin burgers, right, they're all going to be well done. Right, you get a bigger burger, not so well done. So it's kind of up to you. I'm going to cook these well done because they're just so small, especially in the time of the coronavirus. We don't want to be making ourselves susceptible, so cook everything well done right now. All right, Brussels sprouts are looking great. Right as they're coming to the end of their cooking is when you want to hit them with the cheese. So a little bit of cheese. That way you're not really moving around anymore. The cheese is just going to melt in there and be happy. I'm going to save a little bit to hit it with right at the end. A little extra salt. Doesn't hurt anybody. All right, so we're going to let those melt, cook all the way through. So let's talk our plate up. We got a plate here. We're going to do just one kind of beauty shot with these. Get out of the way. So we've got our bun ready to rock and roll. And just make sure you have all your condiments ready. A burger waits for nobody, so the longer you let it sit on the bun, the more soggy it's going to get. I also have these nice little bamboo skewers. Especially when you have really tall sliders, less of a problem with a burger. You can build the whole thing, it's probably not going to fall over on itself. But if you ever wondered why it gets staked with some type of toothpick, it's really just to hold everything together, especially as it's coming from the back of the house in the kitchen to the front of the house. A lot can happen, it's going to sway back and forth. You don't want a toppled burger showing up for the customer. So we're going to add one of those as well. Not required, but it'll make life a little bit easier. Checking on that cheese. Go a little bit longer. If I can touch it with my hands, it's not quite melting. So these Brussels sprouts, they're getting gooey, happy, awesome. All right. So again, toppings, it's a personal thing. Some people like to go in with things like lettuce and such on the bottom. We're going to go to a little more of a classic. I like to do ketchup on both sides. Sometimes a little bit of mayo. Mayo acts as a fat barrier, so moisture doesn't like to pass through the fat, so a little bit of mayo down, again, it's completely up to you. We're just going to do a little bit of ketchup here on the bottom. Ready to go. We're going to come off with our little slider. It's going to go on top there. And then it's a matter of stuff. Pickles. With a slider, 2 pickles is probably enough unless you want to do one really big pickle, or if you really love pickles. Again, completely up to you. Piece of tomato. If it's, again, keep things small. You might have to cut your tomato down. I'm going to go with a smaller piece here. It's going to go top. Add my arugula. Again, I'm going to trim this down so it fits. All right, a little more ketchup on here. Get on there. You can see how easily this is going to want to fall down. So we're just going to skewer that whole thing so it's not going to fall over. Then we have our Brussels sprouts. Let's kill our heat on here. Come in with our Brussels sprouts here on the side. Doesn't that look delicious? You don't want to add too many Brussels sprouts. Well-balanced meal. This is already pretty high in fat. Some of you saying, like, why would I ever want to not have an entire plate of Brussels sprouts and a big juicy burger? And again, normal serving size, you might want to have 2 of these. Herbs coming out with it. Put one more on there. Hit that with a little extra fresh Parmesan cheese. A little pinch of pepper. And there we go. So, basic little slider. Brussels sprouts, deliciousness. Give that a push down. All right, good stuff. Enjoy. Hope to see you all making it. That was another episode of the Quarantine Kitchen. We've got a lot of other stuff happening for the rest of the school year, so enjoy it. Hopefully you all make it. Be safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.